We're at the end of Saruman's team's turn, and now we go to Gandalf's team's turn. Okay, so here we are. We're in Lorien. We are in the untap phase. So we've untapped Annalena. We are in Lorien. We want to go somewhere where we can pick up a ring and then test that. But first we want to bring in Gandalf. Now, bringing in your wizard early is fantastic. The only downside is that if he dies, the game's over. But we've got Gandalf here, and he has 10 direct influence. Not a bad idea to leave some of that direct influence freed up, but so that you can use him to recruit factions and allies, but at the same time, not a bad idea to keep your general influence free. Neither one of those is a major concern this early in the game, so or we could also split up into two different companies. At the moment, we don't have enough resources to really make that seem necessary, so I think we're going to keep everyone together, and it doesn't really make any difference whether we put this person or that person under someone's influence. There's maybe a reason, there may be some hazard cards that affect that, but most of those have to do with torpedoing factions you've already recruited, and we haven't done that yet, so that is not a big issue. So let's move on. Alright, so we are in Lorien, and we want to go somewhere where we can get a ring. So the safest spot to get a ring from Lorien is this place in the Anduin Vales called the Gladden Fields. This might be the one that Gollum found, and hopefully, no, actually I didn't put the One Ring in this deck. It's just too much of a liability. It's a great item, but it's got so much corruption that really only Sam, Bilbo, and Frodo can carry it safely, so I'm not going to deal with that today, and I don't like to shuffle my One Ring cards because they're very nice collector's items. But yes, we'll go to the Gladden Fields and try and get this precious gold ring here, which would be great. And it's a pretty safe route, one wilderness, one borderlands, and then the site itself is a ruins and lair. So we will hopefully stay safe. And we've got a pretty tough party right here with Gandalf and Glóin and Glorfindel. Triple G. Okay, so we're in Lorien. Gotta get organized here. We would normally put the face down, Gladden Fields, but we've only got one company, and there's no need for secrecy. So let's go reveal that we're going to Gladden Fields. Now that means that we can draw up to 1, and our opponent can also draw up to 1, and then key hazards to those potential sites. So the reason that we might want to draw a card is to have another option for when we test. It would be great if we don't roll a Dwarven ring to be able to play a magic ring. So let's draw a card. The moon is dead. Alright, that isn't going to help us now, but it will. It's an amazing card later. Alright, now let's pop on over here to Saruman's side. He may also draw up to 1 card. We've got some orcs, but because of the safeness of the path he's going, it is going to be difficult to play a card. However, we have this amazing, he's played Doors of Night. Now, that's a permanent environmental effect that affects everyone, and so since Doors of Night is in play, I could play Morgul Night to turn all wildernesses into Shadowlands, and all Shadowlands into Dark Domains. That's awesome. So we're going to want to do that. So let's definitely draw a card. Alright, Sentinels of Numenor. I'm not going to read all that right now, but yeah, I think it's basically a card that lets you recruit factions without having to go to the site. So that would be handy if we had factions. We don't really have factions. I don't believe you're allowed to use that on the Army of the Dead. so, yes, now we want to try and get this guy. His hazard limit was 4.5, round up to 5, so we could play up to 5 hazards on him. Alrighty, let's do it. So let's finally get some action going here. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is play Morgul Knight. Schwam. Morgul Knight means that this the Woden foothills, where Lorien is located, is now a Shadowland. Yikes. Not good, Galadriel. And then we could also play Minion Stir. Minion Stir, the strikes and prowess of each or control is increased by 1, 2 if Dwarves of Night is in play. Incredible. Minion Stir, we're going to play that. Alright. And then, since that Wilderness is a Shadowland now, we could play the Orc Guard. The Uruk Lieutenant says, if played on a company that has already faced an Orc attack, it gets +3 prowess. So that is the better one to play next. So first we're going to play Orc Guard, keyed to the Shadowland of Woden Foothills, which was previously a wilderness. Alright, Orc Guard. So Orc Guard normally has 5 strikes of 8, but because of Minion Stir and Dwarves of Night being in play, that strikes and prowess are each increased by 2, so giving it 7 strikes of 10. Wow, 7 strikes of 10, and we're going against a party of 5 over there. So we have, and of course once they face this Orc Guard, then the Uruk Lieutenant also gets a buff, and he's going to be buffed pretty incredibly. However, even worse news for our opponent, we also have this card, Pierced by Many Wounds, playable on attack with more strikes than the defending characters before strikes are assigned. Does not account against the hazard limit, huh? Interesting. Okay, so the first excess strike assigned to each character gives a -1 modification to prowess instead of a -4 instead of 1. Cannot be duplicated. All right, so let's see if we can figure out what that all means. So, Orc Guard is going to be keyed to the former wilderness, now Shadowlands of the Woden Foothills, where they're leaving out of from Lorien. And we have an attack with 7 strikes of 10, and we're going to play Pierced by Many Wounds. Okay, let's just bring this card over here. It's not one I play a lot, so I'm going to try and make sure I apply it properly. Alright, playable on attack with more strikes than defending characters before the strikes are assigned. The first excess strike assigned to each character gives a modification of -4 in prowess instead of 1. Oh boy, alright. So that incentivizes me to apply the excess strikes not to a single character but to multiple characters. Oh wait, no, it says the first excess strike to each character, yes. So I could do it multiple times to each individual characters, or multiple times to different characters. Okie dokie. So let's see. We've got 7 strikes against 5 folks. If we want to do anything at this site, we are going to want to leave someone untapped. But that is a scary proposition, particularly with this card. Obviously, they're going to apply the excess strikes. They're going to try to take down the guys that I attempt to leave untapped. The alternative would be to just tap everyone, play it safe, and then not do anything once we arrive at the Gladden Fields. This is a tough decision. Let's imagine for a moment that we are Glorfindel. We are facing a strike of 10, and we don't tap. That's going to bring us down to 5, but we get another one of these excess strikes applied to us. Will be a -4 modification to prowess instead of 1, so that would bring us our prowess down to 1 to beat a strike of 10. Yikes. and Gandalf is in an even worse position. So, yeah, boy. This is rough, guys. Oh, wait a second. We do have some cards, so we can tap a scout to cancel one attack against his company. Oh, boy. Playable against attack with more than one strike before the strikes. Huh. Now, that's a good question. Would probably... I think, yeah, would this be played first, or would we wait to see if Scout attempted to cancel the attack before this was played? That is a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, it would really matter. This would be solved if we were two distinct people playing against one another, because it would just depend on who did what first. But since we're not, I am going to say that no. Pierced by Many Wounds has not yet been played. The Saruman's team is waiting to see if any attempt is going to be made to cancel this Orc Guard attack. And very much yes it is. So, I'm going to tap a scout to cancel the attack. And we actually got another concealment here, so Annalena could also, who's also a scout, or Gandalf, who's also a scout, could also tap to cancel another attack. But they don't know that. So I'm playing concealment. Great, concealment is played. So discard that to cancel the attack from the Orc Guard. Okay, so now we look at the Uruk Lieutenant, and it says that it's one strike with a prowess of 9, unless that company has already faced an orc attack this turn, in which case it receives a +3 prowess buff, bringing it to, how do you do math? 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, 12. So one strike with a prowess of 12. However, because Minion Stir is still in play, that is going to become 3 strikes with a prowess of 14. 3 strikes with a prowess of 14. Incredible. That's one of the great things about this orc deck. You know, a lot of the orc cards aren't fundamentally strong, but there are many ways to buff them, and we're seeing that in action right now. So, we've only played 3 cards against the 5 card hazard limit. So we could technically play every card in our deck. We're not really going to have the opportunity to play Pierced by Many Wounds because there are even with the added 3 strikes or the added 2 strikes to this Uruk Lieutenant, we would not have more strikes to assign than there are characters to assign them to. But we can we would have no idea that they would possibly have another concealment card. How could that be? So we would naturally want to play this incredibly strong Uruk Lieutenant. So I think that's what we're going to do. So the 4th card of 5 potential hazard cards we play is the Uruk Lieutenant with 3 strikes of 14. Yikes. So luckily, back over here with our with Gandalf's team, with Gandalf's company, we have another scout who is untapped, Annalena. So, much to the dismay of our opponent, we are tapping Annalena and playing yet another concealment card. Tap the scout to cancel an attack against the company. Boom. So, the Uruk Lieutenant attack has been cancelled. Tragic. I've gone and placed some little mats here, so hopefully the clattering of the dice won't be as loud going forward, if I can remember to use them. So, yes, that's kind of devastating. A very potentially awesome attack against our opponent has been thwarted, thanks to their scouts. Scouts are really good in certain situations. And so yeah, we don't really have anything else that we can do, so they have arrived at the Gladden Fields successfully, and that is the end of their one and only movement hazard phase for their one and only company that's moving this turn, and so everyone brings their deck back up to 8. Glamdring. Wow. This team has so much potential. There are a lot of things we can do. Redoubled Force. Yet another card that buffs orc attacks. And the Men of Anorian. So, Men of Anorian is a faction that can be recruited at Minas Tirith. So all the more reason I'm definitely feeling pulled towards going to Minas Tirith. I also took a little break and read the Sentinels of the Numenor more closely. I was confusing it with a different card. This is a card that you can play prior to playing a faction that's recruited in the lands of in and around Gondor, and it makes the factions a little bit more difficult to recruit. It adds a penalty, a -2 penalty, and removes the possibility to use the very awesome card Muster to recruit factions. But in exchange for that penalty, each of these factions receives +1 marshalling point. So, for example, the Men of Anorian here would go from 2 marshalling points to 3. And each subsequent marshalling point card that you acquire after you've placed this Numenor card, as long as they are from one of these regions here that's listed, these are essentially all the regions around Gondor, each one gets +1 marshalling point. So really great card to get early on. And so everything is telling me that we need to go to Minas Tirith on Saruman and on Aragorn and Saruman's next turn. Okay, so yes, we brought our hand back up to 8. Now let's draw cards for Gandalf's team, Gandalf's company. Lure of the Senses. This is a corruption card. This might be handy to put on old Théoden there, since he already has 3 corruption points. This would add 2 more and make it so that he would need to make a corruption check every time he is in a haven during his untap phase. So this discourages hanging out at havens. And another lesser ring. All right, 2 lesser rings. Okay, well, you don't really need to have more than 1 in your hand at any one time. But if we pull a lesser ring this time, we'll have another in our hand. Lesser rings are great fallback rings. As you can see here, once we have a precious ring in our possession and we tap to test, or would do whatever we need to do to test the ring, then if we don't roll what we need to get a Dwarven ring or a magic ring, or theoretically the One Ring, although that's not in this deck, then we could always use the lesser ring as a fallback. I think I mentioned that. Okay, so here we are. We are at the Gladden Fields, and we only have 2 characters tapped. The Gladden Fields has a automatic attack of undead, and so it's a good one to do before we play The Moon is Dead permanent event, because that is going to make all undead attacks have +1 strike, +1 prowess for everyone, and even if we were to beat it, we would actually cancel out that card, make that card become discarded by defeating it. So it would be bad all around, and so and there aren't that many sites where you can acquire gold rings. There are a good number, but not a ton. So they're sort of precious, and no pun intended. And so it is not a bad idea to go to this one. This is such an easily accessible one, and go ahead and do this before we play Moon is Dead, and get that out of the way. So here we are, and we're going to do that now. We have to face the automatic attack of +1 strike with a prowess of 8, and Faced with a dilemma. If we pull a ring, if we have Glóin take this ring and it becomes a Dwarven ring, that is good and bad. It becomes a 6 marshalling point card, and it gives him 7 direct influence and 4 plus 4 prowess. So it's incredible. But it also gives him 5 corruption points. So we would need to do something. We would need to make sure we keep party members untapped, so that they could support him when he has to make corruption checks, or something. We would need to maybe dip into our sideboard and try to find some cards that were going to help him pass those corruption checks, because that could be a bad situation. But yeah, it's going to make him an incredible powerhouse, and he can probably go off and do stuff on his own, as his own little company. So, difficult. We could always give it to Gandalf. We could have Gandalf take the ring for now and give it to Glóin later. Not have to risk Glóin running off with our 6 marshalling points. That would be a real bummer. So decisions. This is tricky. What to do? I think it's very risky to have until we find some ways to ameliorate the corruption point issue. I think that's very risky, and obviously our opponent is going to want to try and take advantage of that. So maybe it makes sense to have old Gandalf take the ring. There's no guarantee that we even get the Dwarven ring. We're going to have to test it. And so, so if we do Testiform, this is a situation where Testiform comes in handy, because Testiform does not require tapping. So if Gandalf taps to pull the ring from Gladden Fields, he will not be able to tap to test it this turn. So we could always just use Testiform to test it instantly and find out what we got, because it only requires that that there be a sage in your company. It does not require that anyone tap or anything like that. So that's a thought. We could have Glorfindel take the automatic attack and just have Glóin tap to see what happens. Oh boy. That's tricky. I'm just very nervous about giving Glóin 5 corruption points. That would be giving Gandalf 3 is pretty bad, but he has a +1 modifier to corruption checks because he's such a loyal guy that maybe I'm having a bad feeling about giving the ring to Glóin, so we're going to do that. So I'm going to have Glorfindel tap to face the automatic attack, and he has 8 prowess. The automatic attack has 8 prowess, so he defeats it without rolling. Automatically defeats it. And then I'm going to have old Gandalf tap to play the precious ring, the precious gold ring. We'll also tap the Gladden Fields. Okay, we can't go back there. Once the site card is discarded, you can't go back there until you've gone through the hand once. We're going to play a 2. By the way, this is a 2-hand or a 2-deck playthrough. So once people go through their deck twice, then a Council of Elrond can be called. I haven't really decided what the marshalling point limit. I guess normally it's 20. Once you have 20 marshalling points, you can also call a Council of Elrond. I'll figure that out. I'll take a little break and decide on that. But essentially, we're going to try and go through the decks twice. Yay. Gandalf has taken that ring, and now let's find out what kind of ring it is. We have this Testiform card, and we can hang on to it, but Gandalf's in play now, so it's going to be easier to test rings going forward. So I want to end the suspense, and we're going to play Testiform. We have 3 sages in our party. 3? No, 4. Gandalf, Glorfindel, Annalena, and 3. And it doesn't even require that the sage tap to test the ring. So here we go. We're going to find out whether this is a lesser ring or a Dwarven ring. A 9. All right, fantastic. So as we can see, the if we roll 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12, then our precious gold ring is revealed to be a Dwarven ring of Thrar's tribe. This is when held by a non-dwarf, this gives +2 prowess, bringing Gandalf's prowess to 8, his body to 10. He has 3 corruption points modified by 1, and he has 4 marshalling points and +2 to direct influence. So that's a great acquisition. And yeah, I'm feeling good about that. As awesome as it is to have a dwarf with a dwarven ring, it's also very risky, and I can always give it to him later. It's early in the game, so yeah. As much as I would like to do that, I'm feeling good about that decision. So here we are now. So that's all we intend to do at the site, and now we can discard 1 card and bring our hand back up to 8. As much as I was saying that it's not bad to have 2 lesser rings, since we didn't end up needing with a 1, I'm going to discard 1 lesser ring and bring the let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's that magic ring. So yeah, if we had this in our hand, and if we had rolled the numbers that give you a magic ring instead of a dwarven ring, then we could have played this. Now we have 2 options, lesser ring or magic ring of courage, going forward, so that's good. Alright, so and then on Saruman's side, we also have the option to discard 1 and pick up 1. I'm feeling more and more like the Army of the Dead is just kind of keeping us from doing better things with our hand, so I'm inclined to discard that. We have ways to take resource cards from our discard, or we can always wait till the next hand or the next deck. So I'm feeling like this is more of a late game deal, and for the time being I'm just going to discard it, and then bring my hand back up to of course, yeah, I suppose I could have played Redoubled Force. Is that the case? I can't remember. No, did I pull that after? I don't remember. I'm starting to second guess myself. It's hard to play with 2 minds, but okay. It didn't really make sense. And it's a permanent event. We'll do it next time if we need to. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, Orc Raiders. Great. Orc Raiders has 4 strikes, another card, a potentially very good card to use, along with Pierced by Many Wounds. Minions Stirred and Long Night and Mortal Night will not be in effect when it comes the next time that we play Hazards. This is only in effect for 2 rounds, essentially, our round and our opponent's round. So, but it will be in effect when we have to leave out of Moria. So that's a double-edged sword. We could end up regretting having played that, and especially since all of our attacks got canceled by concealment. Yeah, we'll see whether that turned out to be a bad idea. But here we are, and it's our turn. So here we are. It's Saruman and Aragorn's turn, and Théoden's turn to, and we're going to untap. So Moria does not untap, but Aragorn untaps. Théoden, Éomer, Haima, and Baragond. Okay, we have no characters to bring in, even if we could. I don't think there's anybody who has a home site at Moria. Don't want to meet that guy. And so we can reorganize. Now, again, Théoden has this red arrow that gives him 5 direct influence towards people with the home site of Edoras. So I could put Haima and Éomer under him, and he would still have his 3 direct influence available for influencing factions. He can get the Riders of Rohan automatically, which is really what he's good for. Probably other factions are just going to be recruited by Aragorn. So it really doesn't matter at the moment, because we still have general influence to spare, and as I've said already, having freed up general influence is not a bad idea, but it doesn't really make a difference yet. It's going to matter more once we have factions under our belt, and we're going to there are things that you can do. That said, I may be forgetting situations. There are times when, if you find yourself in the same place as a different company, you might want to have freed up general influence. I'll get to that if it happens, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. And that's not going to happen in the next turn, so let's just proceed. Yes, at the moment we have 19. We're using 19 of our 20 general influence, as you can see, from Aragorn 9, Théoden 6, Haima 2, and Baragond 2. And here we go. Okay, so as I've been saying, everything's pulling us to Minas Tirith. So there we go, Minas Tirith. I'm just going to ping pong back and forth. Put the site card that we're leaving from is here. The site card we're going to is there. And now, keeping in mind that because Morgul Knight is in play, we are going to be traveling. We're going to be using region movement, but we're going to be traveling from the Woden Foothills. From Redhorn Gate, which is a wilderness, to the Woden Foothills, wilderness, Rohan, borderlands, and Anorian, free domain, and then to Minas Tirith, which is a freehold. That is, all those wildernesses are now Shadowlands, so that puts us in a potentially dangerous position, and so hopefully we can get out. And also hazards can be keyed to the site that you're leaving out of. This didn't really come up because up till now we've been leaving out of havens, but we're now leaving out of Moria, which is a shadow hold. So for example, if someone had a hazard that only could be keyed to shadow holds, that could still be played even though we're leaving from that site. That could still be played. So looking back at the Minas Tirith card, we can draw up to 2, and our opponent can also draw up to 2. Now I'd love to have something that would make our travels easier, but I also really would love to keep some of these, all these cards. These are great hazards, these are great resources. Oh boy, difficult decision. I'm going to draw 1, and let's see what that is. Choking Shadows. So this is something that's going to help us next turn, but it doesn't really help us right now. So now the question is, do I draw something else, but then at the risk of having to discard cards that I want to keep later? No, I'm gonna stay there. Now my opponent over here may draw up to 2 cards, and we have this awesome card I was talking about earlier, The Moon is Dead, which makes all undead attacks receive +1 strike, +1 prowess until one of those attacks is defeated. And so, yes, we also have Stirring Bones, which is great, and we also have this Nazgul. So, yeah, looking good. We also have Éomer, which is he's already in play. I do have a few duplicates. Like I said, I didn't duplicate anything on the starting companies, but I do have a few duplicates that are in deck. There are ways to influence people away from the other wizards. It's one thing you can do, or of course not. Just because somebody's in one starting deck doesn't mean it's in every starting deck. So, or starting company. So I have included some so that they could potentially be played if they make sense for a particular wizard. But yeah, Éomer is not going to be able to be played. Okay, so yes, we can draw up to 2 cards. And I think we're going to want to, because we've got some potential plays here, and we're playing against a company, or we're throwing hazards down against a company of 5. So there are a number of hazards we could play. We have 5 hazard cards in our hand, but some of these could be saved for later. And yes, so let's see what we draw. Okay, Gandalf. Gandalf's already in play. You're allowed to put up to 2 copies of the wizard of your choice in your deck. Actually 3, 2 of one, and you could do 3 different ones. But since all my decks are keyed towards one wizard, I've got 2 copies of each wizard. So yeah, Gandalf, but kind of meaningless at this point. We've already got Gandalf in play. And concealment. Wow. All right. So all three of the concealment cards have come up. We've already seen how amazing that card is to get us out of real sticky situations. Okay. So Éomer and Gandalf are cards I definitely do not need. So that's fine. We drew cards. We're going to discard those. We know that. So let's see how much damage we can do to these guys. See, make them pay for that Morgul Knight that they threw down. Like I said, those long events can be double-edged swords because they last through your opponent's turn and then also through your turn. However, the first card we're going to want to play is actually keyed to Moria, or Moria itself. It can only be keyed to Ruins and Layers and Shadow Holds. Moria is a Shadow Hold, and we will want to start with this one as our first creature because it buffs later undead attacks. But before we do that, we want to play this awesome card, The Moon is Dead. I think I've already mentioned it a few times. It gives you +1 undead attacks, +1 strike, +1 prowess until one of those is defeated. All right. We could also potentially play the Nazgul. What does he do? I can't keep... They're not going through dark domains or dark holds, so I can't play him as a creature, but I could play him and tap to give +1 strike to any attack. Okay, well that is definitely something to think about. Let's keep that in our pocket. And so we're first going to come at these guys with the Chill Dowser. Now the Chill Dowser normally has 3 strikes with a prowess of 8, but because of the Moon is Dead, we've got 4 strikes with a prowess of 9. Not too shabby. Alright, let's look at things from the other side. Okay, so ideally we want to wind up in Minas Tirith with Aragorn untapped, so that he could potentially play the Men of Anorion. But yeah, we also don't want to die. So let's think about this. We've got 4 strikes to contend with, and with a prowess of 9. And so, yes, Aragorn's really the only person I would really want to keep untapped, although it's always good to keep people untapped if you can, because only untapped characters can tap to claim strikes. Otherwise, the opponent gets to place them. So, yes, definitely Baragon and Hema are going to tap. I think it might have made sense to give Éomer that Shield of Ironbound Ash, but yeah, I just can't. I mean, he only has a prowess of 3 and 8. Kind of disappointing stats for Éomer, but he's great otherwise. I mean, you know, he's worth a marshalling point, so that kind of makes up for it. Not many 3-mind characters. He might be the only 3-mind character that's worth a marshalling point. Is he? Is Annalene is not? Oh, she is. Okay, never mind. Well, anyway, it's good. So yes, and I'm getting distracted. Théoden. I'm going to have Théoden tap. Now the question is, should I tap the Ironbound Ash, a Shield of Ironbound Ash, which would give him +1 prowess against this strike? Now where he's tapping, it's an attack of 9, but we have a hazard limit of 5, and I'm just worried. My opponent drew. It's hard for me to not keep in mind what I know my opponent has because I'm playing both sides, but I'm just trying to imagine. Okay, if I know that my opponent just drew 2 cards and we didn't maybe get to play all the cards that they wanted to that last when we headed into Moria. Yeah, I'm a little concerned. So I may not tap the Shield of Ironbound Ash for this strike, assuming that once Théoden's tapped, he may want to tap the shield to get a +1 to his prowess in the next attack. Risky. If he dies, then I'll have regretted that. But that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so here we go. 4 strikes to deal with, prowess of 9. Let's handle, let's just get Théoden out of the way then. He's got 5. Alright, hey, Théoden dealt with the strike handily. So now Éomer. Éomer has 3. Again, trying to beat 9. 10. He did it? Wow, if we can defeat this strike, we'll make the Moon is Dead go away, which is great. Hema, prowess of 4. Oh my gosh, 11. Fantastic. Alright, we may have our first marshalling point from from defeating a creature. That'd be cool. And then Baragon. Baragon has 4, prowess of 4, and oh wow, Baragon gets 8. Okay, so 8. Yes, so he did it. Hey, awesome. We defeated the Chill Dowser. So I'm going to take this and put it over here. Now, you need to kind of we're going to start a sort of marshalling point pile, I think over here, and keeping in mind that hazards that are in the marshalling point from this side are actually belong to that person. So, yeah, just a good thing to keep track of. But this is, by defeating the Chill Dowser, we have acquired a marshalling point, and we've also forced our opponent to discard the Moon is Dead. That is unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Yeah, however, the Chill Dowser says that, unless the attack is cancelled, all undead attacks against the company for the rest of the turn will receive +1 strike, +1 prowess. So, going back over there, you know, I could have played Hormouth of Deer to give that Chill Dowser yet another strike. That might not have been a bad idea. Of course, I could do that with this strike as well, the Stirring Bones. Stirring Bones can be keyed to Shadow Holds. Again, it can also be keyed to Shadowlands, which we're traveling through, 2 of them. So, yeah, man, kind of a bummer for this team that attack wasn't more successful. And the Moon is Dead is out. That's also kind of a bummer. And we gave them a marshalling point. Okay, can't dwell on that though. Let's play. All right, let's play Hormouth of Deer, and as a permanent event, and then we're going to. So that's 3 hazards. Just play Stirring Bones as our 3rd hazard, and now we can tap. We can use our 4th hazard to tap our Hormorath, to add another strike to this attack. That's one way we could use him. Keeping in mind that this has already been buffed by the Chill Dowser, so that we're, whereas we would have been 2 strikes of 9, we're now 3 strikes of 10, and that would be 4 strikes of 10. 4 strikes of 10. Yeah. You know what? I like it. Let's do it. All right, so this would be our 3rd our second hazard playing it, our third hazard stirring bones, our fourth hazard tapping it to add 1 strike to that. So 4 strikes of 10. Here we go. And let's take a look. So we have 4 strikes of 10, and only characters that tap can decide where those attacks go. So Aragorn is probably going to face a strike whether he wants to or not. And that's just how it is. So he can... I do not want to lose Aragorn. So I think it's worth chilling in Minas Tirith for a turn to not lose Aragorn. I mean, if he's eliminated, we lose 3 marshalling points. That's going to be very detrimental to our chances of winning. So, yeah, we're just going to have to tap. Aragorn's going to tap to accept 1 strike. And then there are 3 other strikes of 10 that can be placed by the opponent, which is also me. But I'm going to put myself in the mindset of Gandalf's team and imagine who I would most like to take out. Éomer is worth a marshalling point, so he's definitely there. Théoden has that shield he could tap to bring him back up to prowess of 5, but killing him would be so sweet. So I'm going to do that, and then I guess the other 2 are kind of interchangeable. Baragon and Haima are sort of interchangeable, so getting a little bit of glare. So yeah, I'll just go with Haima. We'll focus, we'll burn down the Rohirrim. And let's see. Alright, let's start with Aragorn. So he's tapped, he's got prowess of 6, trying to beat an attack of 10. Alright, he did it. Next, Théoden. I'm going to have Théoden tap his Shield of Ironbound Ash. This gives him +1 prowess. He has -1 prowess because he's not tapping this round. So it brings him back to 5, trying to beat 10. He did it. Alright, looking good so far. Éomer. Éomer has the prowess of 3, but he has a -1 penalty because he was already tapped, so he's 2, trying to beat 10. Oh boy. 2 + 7 is 9. He's wounded. Oh no. And finally, Haima. Haima was already tapped, so his prowess goes down to 3, trying to beat 10. Oh, and he did it. Very nice. Okay, so now we... there's not a chance to get the points for that, because obviously Éomer took the hit from those stirring bones. Those stirring bones. So let's find out whether he dies. He survives. 6. Okay, his body is 8, so he survives. Only wounded, merely wounded. All right, so there we go. That's 4 of the 5 hazards that my opponent can potentially play. That Gandalf's side can potentially have played on Saruman's side. So there's the potential for, I could either place the Lure of Senses on Théoden. They're not going to a... The thing with the Lure of Senses is that it's great. It gives you 2 corruption points, and they have to make a corruption check every time they're at a haven during their untap phase. But it's also kind of easy to remove. You make a roll. If the result's greater than 6, discard this card. So, yeah. It's I don't know. I mean, if I had 2 more hazard plays, then I could put that on them and then tap Ren the Unclean to immediately force a corruption check. That would be worthwhile. But I don't have that. I only have 1 more potential hazard card I could play. So I'm going to... I could just play it on him now, but again, there's that chance that he would just remove it at the beginning of his next turn. So, yeah. Might make more sense. They're traveling around with a pretty large crew. Might make more sense to do it next turn. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to place any more hazard cards on them. So they arrived safely at Minas Tirith. So we're going to take Moria. Moria goes over here to their discard pile. They may not return to Moria until in this deck, until the deck's reshuffled. And so everyone bring their hand back up to 8. All right. So no discarding allowed just yet. I would love to get rid of Éomer and Gandalf out of my hand. They're just kind of taking up space here, but that's not where we are at the moment. We're just bringing our hand up to 8, from 6 to 8. Oh, wow, another Moon is Dead. That's great. Very nice card. And Exhalation of Decay. All right. Playable on an undead hazard creature in your discard pile. If the undead can attack, bring it into play. It attacks modified prowess by -1. So that's great. If that might be very nice if we want to pull one of those cards like the Chill Dowser back in from the discard pile. Okay, so we brought our hand back up to 8. And our guides have arrived in Minas Tirith. Here we are, and they need to bring their hand also to 8. So I'm going to have to discard something. Oh boy. Choking Shadows modifies the prowess of an automatic attack at a Ruins and Lairs, or I can treat one Wilderness as a Shadow Land, one Ruins and Lairs as a Shadow Hold. Oh boy. That's good. This is the problem with having a bunch of resources in your hand, is you really sort of limit your hazard play because you are sitting there holding a bunch of stuff that you could use, but not this turn, not next turn. I mean, yeah. It's tricky. Tricky to know what to do. Glamdring is so good, and yet, I just don't think I can. I just don't think I can let it sit here and taking up space in my hand at this time. So we're going to discard Glamdring, although it hurts me so. It's got +3 to prowess, maximum 8, maximum 9 against orcs. It's only 1 corruption point and it's 2 marshalling points. It's just so good. But alas, I've got other priorities here. Minas Tirith focused priorities. Also, kicking their butts priorities. Okay, so we've arrived at Minas Tirith. Éomer's wounded, but otherwise we're doing okay. Sadly, Éomer will not be able to heal at Minas Tirith unless we play a card like Houses of Healing. You don't heal at freeholds. Even though it seems like you might be able to, no, you don't. Yes. Okay, so, wait a second. I discarded Glamdring. I guess I could have also discarded one more card and bring it back up to 8, but I don't want to do that. All right. And yes. So right. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. So we're at Minas Tirith. I can't do anything because nobody's untapped. So now we're at the point where I could potentially discard something and then bring my hand back up to 8, but I do not want to do that with these guys. However, this team absolutely wants to do that. We do not need this Gandalf card. We really don't need the Éomer card either, but we can only do one, and we'll bring... Hello! Great. Exactly what we were hoping for. Another precious golden ring. You can have up to 3 of these. These are not unique items in and of themselves, so you can have up to 3 in your deck. And so we're going to go get another one as soon as we can. Fantastic. All right. Whew. So that is the end of Saruman's turn. Saruman's team's turn. Saruman not yet in play. All right. So let's keep going.